Adam, I guess, what's your reaction to all of this? I saw you reacted on X, formerly known as Twitter, where a lot of these right-wing white supremacist folks sort of mill around and gobble up Trump's rhetoric. And I guess one of the questions that stands out to me is, why did it take so long for Trump to take it down?
Jim, that was the first time I've ever tweeted an F-bomb on Twitter. And I don't do that lightly, but there was no other way to express the outrage I felt. And let me just say to my fellow Christians out there, if you somehow can defend this, then you haven't read or followed the same Jesus I follow. I'm just saying that. Now, why did it take so long? It's obvious. So what Donald Trump does, now, is Donald Trump really a goose-stepping Nazi? Probably not, right? I don't think he is. But he always does the old, you know this, you covered him for 4 years. He does the old, like, kind of wink and nod, like the old, oh, I'm not really with them, but, hey, guys, right? I'm kind of with you. Like, I'm not with the Nazis, but if the Nazis are with me, that's okay. And that's what he does. The whole stand back and stand by with the Proud Boys. Look, he would come on and say, well, I actually denounced him. I told him to stand back. And okay. But then the Proud Boys, I remember actually I was in Vegas not that long after he said that, and I saw some Proud Boys with a shirt that said stand back and stand by. That's what he does. He signals anybody is welcome. It is the superpower of a cult to always forgive and always welcome.
Yeah, I mean, these aren't dog whistles anymore. And Trump has also made anti-Semitic comments about Jewish Democrats who vote for Joe Biden. And here's what he said outside of court just yesterday. And we should note, he has said this a number of other ways at other moments. But here, he said it yesterday as well. Let's look. Let's listen.
Jewish people that vote for Biden and the Democrats, they should have their head examined.
Your reaction to that?
I mean, it's more of the same. And actually, this is kind of something I had heard a lot in the Republican Party, which is we don't understand how Jewish people can vote for Democrats because of Israel. It's like really putting on to Jewish folks that they're basically just one-dimensional voters. Like, they actually, they care about a lot of things. And quite honestly, I'm not sure really where Trump is on Israel anymore. But yeah, I mean, this is just, again, I like to play the game of if Biden did this, okay? What if Biden would have said anything about how Jews should be voting? What if Biden would have said, stand back and stand by? What if Biden would have put out this, Reich newspaper thing? It would be 24/7 all over a different news channel that you and I know exists, feigning outrage over this. This is a real issue. And, it's tough from a media perspective. How do you cover him? Because he basically throws so much garbage spaghetti on the wall, you have to kind of pick and choose. But this is what we as a country cannot become numb to. I'm worried that we're going to become numb to it.
Well, and it leads me to my question about your work on the January 6th committee, Adam, because, I mean, we all know that this was an attack on the Capitol, an attack on democracy, but it was carried out by people who absorbed this rhetoric that Donald Trump puts out there. People like the Proud Boys, people like the Oath Keepers, and so on. There was a guy famously photographed that day wearing the Camp Auschwitz T-shirt. There was the guy marching through the Capitol with the Confederate flag. It raises the question: why does Trump continue to put this stuff out there? Why are he and his folks putting out videos that say Unified Reich and then leaving them up for almost 24 hours?
I mean, let's look at it. It's working. I mean, let's take the morals out of it. It's working. I mean, Donald Trump went from, this disgraced stain on our history to the Republican nominee now, and probably if the election were today, he would be the next president. I mean, this is working because it's the difficulty of, the coalition of the sane, of those on the sane right, the center, and the left that are trying to defend our democracy. We get exhausted by all this chaos. The forces of chaos feed on it, and they get excited. So that's why, because it works, until we as a country vomit this stuff out, this garbage out, and say, this is not who we are as Americans, and we inflict that electoral pain on Donald Trump for that, he's going to continue. Because look, there is a small group of Americans, that believe this stuff, and he wants their votes.
And so, Adam, what do you think the right response is to all of this? And what do you think is going on here? Is it amnesia? Is it people purposefully sticking their head in the ground? Is it that the Biden campaign and the president, they aren't responding to this stuff forcefully enough? We saw the president did condemn it. The Biden campaign pounced on it a couple of nights ago. What's the answer in your view?
Well, look, again, none of us that I know of have been even reached out to by the Biden campaign since like January, when I was told they'll reach back out after Nikki Haley drops out. Not saying that for my ego. I don't care about it, right? Like, but you've got to reach out to those 20% of Republicans. Every Democrat I talk to is saying, I don't know what they're doing on that. So there is a messaging and there is an energy issue on the Democratic side. On the Republican side, look, what can we do? I mean, you got to look at your heart at some point and say, what kind of a country do I want my kids to grow up in? And is this it? This divided, angry at each other country? And then from a media perspective, you do what you're doing very well and what CNN does very well, which is you've got to just cover it. Like, people may get tired of the comments, but you've got to cover it. If people get numb to it, that's not CNN's responsibility, but we as a country all have to make that decision. Take the weight of the world off your shoulders, realize we're 1 in a million, even though we're also 1 of a million. And 1 of a million is people fighting to save this country.
Yeah, I mean, and one way to look at it, Adam, is, I mean, if you were to take the name Trump out of it and insert any other politician's name, posted a video that said Unified Reich in it, how much coverage would you get? And should that be the same amount of coverage that we give to Donald Trump? And it's just not at this point, because you're right. People are worn down. They want to move on. They don't want to talk about this stuff all the time. But of course, you have to. You can't stick your head in the sand. Adam Kinzinger, thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it.